Bots officially took over the internet, making up 51% of all traffic. In Singapore, bad bot activity spiked to 51% last year, hitting sectors like travel and retail the most. To discuss this, we have Daniel Toff from Thales and Vladimir Yordanov from Gigamon. Now, starting with Daniel, what factors contributed to the surge in bad bot traffic?
Based on the report that we just released 2 months ago, we believe that the surge in bad bot traffic can be largely attributed to the rise of AI, large language models, just to name a few. And we believe that this actually simplified the creation and the scaling of bots for very malicious processes. So as all these AI tools become more and more accessible, we believe that cyber criminals are increasingly leveraging all these different new technologies and new techniques to create and deploy more and more malicious bots. And that actually brought us to taking a look at now accounting for more than 45% of all internet traffic in Singapore can be attributed to just bad bots alone. And that is a significant increase from 35% that we have just seen a year before.
The rapid growth of online services and APIs has expanded the attack surface of bad bots. For example, vulnerable APIs and bot attacks are costing businesses up to 186 billion annually. IoT and mobile proliferation is another factor that contribute to bot attacks. The explosive growth of IoT devices, smartphones, app-centric ecosystem has created a highly connected digital environment. And in 2023, for example, approximately 54% of organizations have suffered from some type of cyber attack targeting IoT devices pretty much every week. Another contributing factor is gap in cybersecurity defenses. Bad bot traditionally target APIs, and API defenses, unfortunately, are not where they need to be in today's IT infrastructure. And last but not least, we also need to consider the financial incentives. There's a strong financial incentive for the bad actors to capitalize on the digital economy, and bad bots are one of the main factors that make this thing possible. For example, according to some reports, last year in 2024, app fraud caused by bad bots cost businesses estimatedly $88 billion. And as you could see, this is a significant number that goes straight into the criminal pockets and create very strong incentives.
Just to expound on this, Vladimir, what types of attacks are these advanced bots executing?
Okay, yeah. So that is a very good question. So there's several types of attacks that are executed by bad bots. One of them is credentials scraping, or this is exploiting, scrapping the internet, trying to get exposed credentials, and further down the road, those credentials can be used to gain unauthorized access to accounts. Web scraping, extracting proprietary content data, other information that typically should not be available on the public internet. Distributed denial of services attack is another type of attack. Advertisement fraud, or this is using bad bots to mimic user behavior, like clicks leading to wasted marketing budgets. Spam and phishing campaign is another type of attacks. Vulnerability scanning, especially vulnerability scanning, probing system for security flaws that later can be used for another type of attacks, and also scalping or inventory hoarding, where malicious actors use bad bots for inventory hoarding, buying high-demand items such as concert tickets or other type of high-demand items.
What we also do see that the kind of attacks these advanced bots are executing, we see in fact like a very big significant surge when it comes to API directed attacks. Now the reason why, a lot of all these IoT devices, they do communicate via APIs, via very dedicated connections. Now what we have actually seen over the last year is that 33% of advanced bots target all these APIs just in Singapore alone. And building on top of what Vladimir just mentioned, right? These attacks are not just limited to overwhelming the devices or overwhelming the APIs. In fact, we see that they are targeting very specific industries when it comes to disturbing or disrupting the business logic workflow, how the API operates. And very significantly, we see workflows being targeted around automated payment fraud, account hijacking, data exfiltration, just to name a few.
So in order to address this or even prevent it, how should businesses in Singapore deal with the rise of malicious bots?
I think it is important to identify the attack surface, to identify the risk that our public-facing systems are exposed to. And with that, right, we can think about how can we reduce the vulnerability exposed by the attack surface. Some of the techniques that you can consider would be basic, hygiene of your web applications, of your systems. Think about basic hygiene like dual factor authentication or multi-factor authentication. With all these perimeter defenses or hygiene in place, some of the things that we want to start thinking about would be how can I automate the threat reduction process such that we can use more modern tools, AI-driven tools to reduce the mean time to response. Now, I will also caution that probably even with all these controls in place, maybe try not to play all our cards at the same time. In this way, right, the advanced bad bots will have lesser time, lesser opportunities to learn more about our defenses. And I think last but not least, when we talk about the cybersecurity framework from Singapore, in fact, I think Cybersecurity Agency of Singapore, the Singapore government, we developed quite a few systems in place. For example, in 2023, there is the scam analytics and tactical intervention system called the SATIS in place. So all these AI-driven platforms are designed to fight bot-driven scam, human scams, including phishing, and sites hosting all this malware. I think by signing up onto some of these platforms, keeping the business up to date on all these platforms and frameworks in place, it would be a good step forward to keep abreast and ahead of all the bad bots.
What organization needs to do is that they need, as Daniel rightfully mentions, bad bots, they exploit API weakness in API connections. So APIs always needs to be strengthened, and we always advise organizations to implement a strong API security measures. Another type of defense that organizations can use that has been talked quite widely recently is adopting a zero trust architecture. Zero trust by default implies that any communications needs to be verified and trusted, which greatly will reduce the attack surface that is exploited by bad bots. Another type of defense that organizations need to, we recommend organizations to use is that you should regularly update and patch systems. Organizations need to ensure that all software and systems are up to date to prevent bots from exploiting known vulnerabilities. And probably last but not least is just general awareness. This culture, everything is an application, everything needs to be connected. My advice is that if it doesn't need to be connected, don't connect it. And it's like you don't need your coffee maker, your refrigerator, or your vacuum cleaner to be connected to the internet. So there have to be an awareness from the users at large, especially elderly citizens or other vulnerabilities vulnerable groups, that connection to the internet inherits certain risks. And those risks, if they could be exploited, will be exploited at one point by malicious actors and bad bots, and which can lead to severe consequences.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights, Daniel and Vladimir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, those were Daniel To, Chief Solution Architect for Asia Pacific and Japan at Thales, and Vladimir Yordanov, Senior Director of Solution Engineering at Gigamon. For more news, visit sbr.com.sg.